Hello, hello. This is the 171st Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2224, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. Right, Simon? Live from the 23rd century, straight to the 21st century.
Correct. The year 2224 to the year 2024.
Yes. So we hope all our listeners in the 21st century are looking forward to another episode about life in the 23rd century.
Definitely. If they're not looking forward to it, that's I guess, a sad reflection of our show, the last few episodes. They're listening like begrudgingly. You know?
Yes, exactly. Oh, let's see. Well, today's about seasoning. Just in case you were wondering, maybe stopping the episode here, it's about seasoning. I will tell you what this is in a second. Because I wanted to try something new.
A new feature of your lens, yeah?
Yes, a new feature of my lens. So most of the listeners probably know, but we wear lenses in the 23rd century, and there we can project things over what we see in the world. This can be completely covering it or just enhance information. And I got a new feature, and this suggests answers in conversations.
So like when you and I are talking, you'll show you possible things you could say.
Exactly. So if I don't really know what to answer, or I just don't have anything to say, or I'm at a loss of words, then, I can just check what the recommendation is and say that.
Yeah. I guess, let's hope it doesn't happen today this way in our conversation, in our podcast, but I can imagine it being useful in real life if your mind drifts off for a moment and you've not been paying attention to the conversation and you suddenly come back and you're like, oh crap, what should I say? Well, you'll have some nice suggestions there.
It actually, Napoleon recommended it to me. Napoleon is a robot, and he occasionally struggles a little bit when speaking to humans, trying to catch the finesse of the conversation. So he uses it quite a bit. So this is what I would say, and this is what's recommended to me, and kind of make a split-second decision. Do I say what I wanted to say, or do I just basically get what's recommended when speaking to this human? Yeah, so
we'll see how that goes today.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. Maybe I will just babble on like usual, or maybe I have something interesting to say. You'll maybe say things or ask things that you wouldn't normally. Yeah, exactly. So maybe this way we can liven up the conversation.
Liven it up, yeah.
Okay, so today's about seasoning.
Yep.
You want to explain what seasoning is?
I do, and because we are aware that it's maybe a little bit misleading of a title. People might think we mean to do with using various amount of herbs or spices when cooking, because that's another meaning for the word seasoning. But no, we're talking about changing the length of the seasons. So meaning spring, summer, autumn, winter, adjusting the length of those so that life is more fun.
Yes, exactly. For the longest time, the seasons have been locked in place. So many months of rainy season, so many months of autumn.
Well, not locked as in rigid, but beyond the control of people.
Exactly. And for a while, we discussed about this. Humanity has been trying to change the weather.
And that's gone very badly before, so there's none of that.
No, and this is basically plan B, and we can't actually change what the weather is going to be at the moment. Then we'll just change whatever the season is.
And adjust the duration of them, like make the summer shorter, longer, and so on. And
seasons come with a particular kind of weather, so there's a much bigger chance of the weather being that weather what you want. Because it's the right season. Or the wrong one, depending on your point of view.
Oh, sure, depending on what is required for growing food, for going on holiday, and so on.
And of course, around the world, seasons are different. So, let's say the default seasons are, at some places, the summer lasts for many months. Sometimes it's very short.
Hot and humid.
Exactly.
For example.
Sometimes they have a rainy season, and sometimes this rainy season is in December. In other places, the rainy season is in March, whatever. So every region has its own default seasons, and it's about changing these defaults. And it's particularly popular in temperate regions, which is where we are living.
Yep, here in Germany.
Exactly. So I think we'll get to some of the options later on, but especially popular here, I know, is basically make the summer last longer. Yeah. So enough.
Yeah, it's usually so summer comes along, folk are enjoying it, and then when it stops, couldn't it have lasted a few more weeks?
Yeah. And people also enjoy autumn and spring and winter a little bit.
Yeah.
But not, it's a little, summer is the most fun. How come summer lasts the same time as spring, autumn, and winter?
Yeah.
When that's more fun. So it's basically when you make summer last longer, you basically squeeze the other ones a bit more.
You can reduce them.
Exactly. So, but you still need a little bit of autumn, a little bit of snow.
Sure. Necessary for plants, animals, humans too.
But it's basically there's some flexibility there. It's like instead of 3 months of rainy autumn, you can have maybe 2 weeks of rainy autumn. That's enough to stop nature from whining, and then we can quickly move on to summer. Yeah. So that's particularly popular over here, but like you were saying, plants and so on. So the voices of nature are closely monitoring this, and they have an advisory role, but they will still mention it. We think this is going too far. We recommend,
or recommend more of something. Like you haven't gone, you haven't made the springtime long enough. For example.
Exactly. Or like we've been monitoring this the last couple of years. Autumn really was too short for the walnuts or whatever. And then we recommend making this a little bit longer, and then lots of discussion and compromises and so on. So I was thinking many different kinds of seasons, and also many different kinds of ways of changing the seasons around the world. Maybe we point out before on which level these changes are being made, before we go to the changes themselves.
Sure.
Because this is happening on a governmental level.
Right. For the country as a whole.
Yeah, exactly.
Not
not your
city
street
level, right? So not city level, not town, village level, not definitely not street, and definitely not household.
Yes. It's not even regional. It's really on a country level.
True. So borders, for example, there'll be perhaps, depending on the cooperation between the governments, but it definitely happens sometimes that there's a big mismatch. Between the seasons either side of the border. Which isn't ideal.
But it's kind of like time zones, It's like if you walk from, let's say, Germany to Poland, you change time zone.
Yeah.
Right? So suddenly it's an hour earlier. Or if you walk the other way around, it's suddenly an hour later. Yeah. You don't actually notice it.
No, if you weren't looking at your watch, you wouldn't realize.
Exactly. You see the clock on your lens.
But with the weather, you notice.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Depending on how different the seasons are.
But it kind of blends into each other at the border, right? It's not like that.
In one place it will be a colder summer, and the other place it will be a warmer autumn.
Yeah,
that kind of
exactly. And it's also not just that the rain exactly stops at the border, because we can't really change it. And it can still rain in summer. And it can rain in spring. So even if it's spring on the one side, summer on the other side, the rain still falls kind of on both sides. So the transition is gradual, but still on a very small.
Yeah, I think it's more noticeable if you're moving very quickly. Yeah. So in a hover car, and you're racing through the weather, then you really can see it through the windows. Yeah. But when you're walking on foot, you wouldn't notice.
But it's basically if you have your clock on your lens, if you step across the border, you see it suddenly.
Sure, the time zone change.
Exactly, and also if you have your weather forecast on your lens, you also see that quickly changing if you pass along, because in your new region, the weather can just be very different relatively fast.
Sure.
But it's a little bit like that. You change time zones. And also sometimes one side of the border has summertime, one side of the border has wintertime, and which means some of the year you have a time zone mismatch. And it's the same with seasons.
Yeah.
If Poland decides, hey, we want to have spring be longer than in Germany, you'll have a couple of weeks where it's spring in Poland, but already summer in Germany.
Yeah.
Okay. It works like that. Fine. But so not on a city level, not on a household level. I also think it would be crazy if every village has its own kind of season. That would be too crazy.
Sure. Just to bring it back, something I mentioned right at the start, that the main goal of all of this is to make life more fun.
Yes.
So it's not for crops. It's not for business reasons. It's to make life more fun for everyone.
Yeah. And there is a general consensus of what people like. Yeah. Robots particularly like it sunny. because they rely on solar energy.
Exactly, solar power. So as few clouds as possible, direct sunlight, that's ideal.
So they are not very keen on the autumn in temperate regions. So they are a big advocate of longer summers. Turns out people, mammals in particular, like also sunny periods. I guess there is also something about solar energy going on there. So that's why usually longer summers are, especially in temperate regions, something. But in other regions where the summers are super hot, they just extend spring and autumn, make the summer shorter.
Yeah. So at least the overwhelmingly hot summers are not as long.
Yeah. And also turns out there's not a whole lot of crops that need super hot summers. So those kind of regions, it's actually, it allows them to grow more of their own stuff.
Right, rather than needing to import it,
Exactly. You have any other particular season changes that are maybe different than the standard?
I mean, the obvious one is places where there are ski slopes, that the winter is extended, that the snow can stick around longer.
Yeah, that is, especially for people that really like skiing. If you can just ski for 2 months. And usually those regions have a relatively short then spring and autumn. So you have a lot of skiing. And when the skiing is done, quickly get spring over with and jump straight to summer and then walk through the mountains where you had just been skiing a couple of weeks ago.
Right, the snow is melted already.
Yeah, I know that one. I like it where it's not always fixed, right? So every year it's kind of like, there are some countries that are being pretty flexible about it, depending on what the weather has been. So if you are in harvest season, and for whatever reason you could only start later, or you have a particularly successful harvest, then you need more time to get all the walnuts and cherries and whatever out of the trees. Then it can be decided we'll need a couple of weeks more of autumn. And then this is relatively spontaneously decided and there's more autumn. I like that.
And we've not mentioned, have we? So we mentioned Voices of Nature, that's an advisory body. In terms of implementing such details, like, for example, in a longer autumn, like you mentioned, that's up to the weather conductors.
True. And I wonder what they think about that in Azerbaijan.
I don't know. What do you say? Or what do you ask?
That was a suggestion on my lens that I said that.
Okay. But do you actually wonder, or you were just reading?
No, I just didn't know what to say, so I just picked a suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, no idea what they think about that in Azerbaijan. Do you remember any other good examples of seasoning?
Not any that are coming to mind right now. Myself?
I don't know of any particular examples, but I was just thinking reasons to extend spring would be if you are particularly fond of lambs, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very cute. Spring is usually
really
dominated
fresh.
by...
The air is really fresh, But
also dominated by cute animals.
Yes.
Wherever you look in spring.
And hay fever. I mean, not for everyone, but, way more pollen in the air.
Good point, actually. No, I was just thinking, if you really like cute animals, there's like
I see.
baby sheep and baby rabbits and baby everything, and they're super cute. But at one point they all get older, and then, the cute season is over.
I think they'll still age at the same rate. So even if you make spring longer, they'll be born at whatever point. Making spring longer won't make there be more... they won't last as baby animals for longer.
True, but there could be another round of cute baby animals.
Ooh, okay.
So like 2 months later, it's still spring. Oh, let's get another round of cute little baby rabbits.
I appreciate, lambs and baby bunnies as much as anyone. I don't think that would be a good reason to extend the length of a season. I've
also never actually heard that. I was just brainstorming that. I was just thinking of what would be reasons to extend spring. Sure. Cute animals probably not good enough, and hay fever is probably an argument against it. Yeah. Although with the cyborg chip, we should have that covered.
Should do. There's somehow some pollen always slips through, but you're right. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have longer spring times. It means the cyborg chips need further improvements, further enhancements.
Right. I think I heard the Chancellor mention something like that.
Really?
No, I was just reading from my lens again.
Okay, so but then the suggestions aren't even necessarily true?
Or they're supposed to.
Okay, just because it seems really unlikely that the Chancellor would have mentioned anything about that. I
Maybe
don't
it's
know.
randomized?
Maybe they did. Or maybe it's just generating questions like out of nowhere.
Maybe it's really completely randomized and like a conversation starter, but not like in the middle of a conversation. Yeah. But it keeps changing. It's like every 2 seconds there's another suggestion.
Okay.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I know we were talking about before where it's done on a country level. I know, especially the smaller countries like Luxembourg, for example, it's a little challenging for them.
Yeah. We're saying like there are these parts on the borders where one season will blend into the other. When a country is so tiny like Luxembourg, okay, then it's basically. Yeah, the whole country is an in-between thing.
And also if they have a different weather because they're surrounded by France, Germany and Belgium, if those 3 countries have different seasons than Luxembourg itself, let's say those 3 countries have spring and Luxembourg has winter, then...
I mean, I guess at that point it can't really. Like smaller countries do need to go along more with their neighbours.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Because they will be building snowmans in the middle of Luxembourg and they keep on melting because of the spring from the side is barging in.
Yeah.
Anything you would like to change if you were basically in charge and you could ignore the voices of nature?
Maybe it's even the opposite. What I'd like is for the voices of nature, rather than being advisory bodies, that they are so... directly integrated into the weather conductors. And that rather than this being a political decision on a country level, that it's rather taking the whole world into consideration, basically treating the seasons as one whole, one integrated whole, rather than just each country going, hey, I want it this way, hey, I want it that way, and so on.
So what's your favorite rodent?
I mean, a kangaroo rat, but what's that got to do with it?
Yeah, I'm not... I don't think...
it was another one.
Yeah, this makes no sense.
I like kangaroo rats, but it really didn't have anything to do with what we were talking about.
Okay, but now I'm... Okay, cool. Kangaroo rats.
Yourself, what's your favourite rodent? Oh, sorry.
My favourite, that's a squirrel.
They are nice too. Wait, are they rodents? I don't even know. They look like rodents. So.
Especially cute baby squirrels in spring.
Sure. I mean, but yeah, okay. I mean, I think squirrels of all ages look cute. But sure, but baby ones look even cuter.
Yeah.
Kangaroo rats, I mean, sure, part of what I like about them is they have these huge ears and way longer, basically like a kangaroo, longer legs, and they hop around.
Are they related to kangaroos?
Not related to them.
Okay.
But reminiscent of them.
Okay. Cool. See, okay, maybe this was not such a bad question. I didn't know this about you.
Indeed, we've not discussed favourite animals before.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's it as far as seasoning is concerned, right?
Yeah, that's it. And did we have any listener emails?
No. I mean, we had a few, but nothing with questions.
Exactly. Not with questions that we'll answer today. Okay, but then folk listening to this show, please send an email to michaellasagna5@gmail.com. Put the number 171 in the subject line. That way we'll know this episode successfully went back in time. And if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the email as well.
Thanks. I wonder what they think about that in Azerbaijan. Oh, no, I'm getting the same suggestions.
Yeah, okay. And
I already had this one.
Hey, people 200 years ago in the year 2024 in Azerbaijan, let us know what you think about it.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so this does make sense.
In this context, sure.
Maybe it makes sense that we just don't see it.
Maybe we need to put the work in to make it make sense to us.
Exactly. Okay. Well, then, thanks for listening and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.